What did you say? No matter what?
In
We can
three,
all hear each other just
two,
fine.
one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Delusions of Grandeur. I am your host, and today we are going to be discussing another fabulous car movie from 1954-55. Um, and it's directed by John Ireland and Edward Sampson, starring um, John Ireland, Dorothy Malone, and Bruce Carlisle. But it was heavily produced by Roger Corman for a rough sum of 50 grand at the time, because he'd actually gotten 60 grand to uh, go and produce his feature, um, Monster from the Ocean Floor, before this. But he actually used the money for this film. Um, so, but it was based on a story that Roger Corman came up with, and it was written by Jerome Odlum and Gene Howell. Let me say what the IMDb says about the film. A trucker framed for murder breaks out of jail, takes a young woman hostage, and enters her sports car in cross border road race, hoping to get to Mexico before the police catch him. So, going with first impressions, I'm going to go with you, Tammy. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yes. Yes, it was a first time watch. Um, I thought it was um interesting, I guess. Um, you know, when he takes her hostage, it becomes a like a hate to a love hate relationship, and he obviously doesn't know what he's doing with the car, so that makes it somewhat interesting. But I guess it wasn't too bad. It just there was definitely a lot more of the bantering between him and her than really anything else. And like I said, he really obviously did not know much about that car, but as far as driving it, but it
Okay,
was okay.
okay. Going over to you, Boris. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yes, it was, and I kind of had difficulties with this one because, as I probably mentioned before, since English is not my first language, as you know, and in this movie I didn't have subtitles, and I usually do watch movies with subtitles because for some reason when I watch a movie in foreign language, if I don't have subtitles, I often struggle to distinguish words, which was especially difficult in this one because it's an old movie and the sound quality is not very clear. It wasn't quite easy to distinguish words. So there were parts of the movie that I struggled to understand. But yeah, that's my problem. Can't really blame the movie for that. um, well, as far as the movie itself goes, as far as I understood it, it seemed more or less okay. Maybe not quite my cup of tea, but It was okay.
Okay. Did you like it or hate it?
Well, I didn't hate it. Maybe I had my issues with some characters, but we will get into that later. But yeah, it would take something much worse to actually make me say I hated the movie.
Okay. Heading over to you, Kroll. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yep.
Did you even know about the film?
Nope.
And
I
what
wish
were
I
your
kept it that way. I could have gone the rest of my life without knowing about this film.
thoughts?
My first impression is that it was just all over the place. The man and the woman, yeah, it's all banter between the two. And it's 1 second that they like each other, next second they want to kill each other. It's just, I mean, I guess that's more realistic, but still, it happened within an hour instead of years. So I don't know. It just seemed like it was all over the place, and yeah, there's a lot more we can get into later. But that's just my first impression. Is that yeah.
Okay. Well, my first impression of this film was the fact that I'd seen the trailer for this some years back, and I remembered that this film had this particular title. In fact, I remembered it being the first with its title when the original Fast and the Furious came out in 2001. What I didn't know is that originally this did have a different title. Um, it had this film was shot in 10 days on April in April of 1954 with the title Crash Out. But then another film would take that title, so they had to come up with something else. Um, but that being said, yeah, this film was more about the love-hate relationship between uh, Frank, the main character, and the woman in this particular film, who
I
went
think
by
her
the
name
name.
is Bonnie.
And I don't know. I think it was definitely all over the place because it didn't seem to want to stay with one particular like subplot or whatnot. It's definitely low budget. um,
Shows.
but I did like the fact that the cops were like all decorated in their uniform forms and shit. Uh, uh, for some reason, older movies always keystone copped them, made cops look out to be a little bit more comical, and for some reason, just the fact that they were able to like get around the cops by coasting the car around a corner while they were like taking a break, that kind of made me chuckle a little bit.
I shook
Um,
my head.
and one of the things that Tammy said while we were watching the thing made me kind of laugh. Uh, it was something about you don't hear screeching of tires on gravel.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Me neither.
um, and that seems to be something that happens in older movies where they're obviously driving on gravel and yet you hear screeching of tires. It just doesn't happen. right,
Tires
right,
don't.
Tammy?
Yeah, tires don't screech on dirt or on gravel. They need to connect with something like asphalt in order to screech.
But in any case, um, what did we think about Frank Webster as a character?
Mm, well, for today's standards, I believe many people would probably hate him. In my case, maybe uh, generally spoken, I wouldn't approve of the way he treated on the way he treats women. But in this particular case, I kind of disliked Connie as a character. I developed an instant dislike for her when we saw the way she treated that other guy at the beginning when she came off as a really stuck up person who thinks they have the right to treat someone else like garbage just because they don't know them. uh, I developed an instant dislike for her because of that, because I also hate real life people who think acting that way is okay. Uh, so
But that guy
just
came
be,
up. That guy at the beginning came all up in her business, up to her car,
Yep.
bothering her. She didn't even know him. If I was
uh,
her, I would have told him where he could have gone, in not very
Exactly.
polite words.
He was a
uh,
rude asshole.
he was rude. Wait, what did he actually say that was so bad?
It's not say he just went up. He just went up, opened her door, and just started talking to her like he knows her and shit. That you don't just do that. You don't just walk up to somebody, just open their door, and just start talking to them and acting like your best friends. She doesn't know him from a hole in the wall, and I think she was really nice to him considering what he did. I mean, you can't just do that to some. You can't just do that. I know he
You
was
can't just
in his mind. You think he was being nice, but he wasn't. You don't just walk up to some stranger and just open their car door and start fucking yammering to them.
well, that's the thing about good old Southern boys. They think that they can walk in and own the place.
Exactly. So he's a fucking asshole.
Uh, Wait, why is he an asshole for just trying to initiate a conversation and
He
get to
didn't just
know
Initiating a
initiate. He
someone?
went over
conversation
and
is
opened
one
her
thing.
car
Going
door.
up going
He
up to
opened.
someone's car.
He opened her car door. He went up to her, started talking. I mean, you can't just. What if she wanted to sit there for a while or whatever? You just don't assume what someone's gonna do and just open their car door and stuff. Like whatever. Like you don't do that.
I
There's
mean, come
manners. I
on,
mean,
Boris.
there's a reason why cars are people's property to begin with. It is not yours to just go up and open the door.
I mean,
You can't
Boris,
just do that.
If you're
if
opening
you
a
didn't know me,
public
would
door
you
for
like to?
someone, that's different. It's a
Well,
public door. You don't just walk up to someone
wasn't
else's property and just open their door. That's like if she was at her home and he just walks over and opens up her door for her, like and not knowing her at her house, like it's the same thing.
I mean, Boris,
wasn't
you wouldn't
his
like it. Boris, you wouldn't like it if I
yes?
walked up to your car and opened the door and just started like talking to you. You like you were my best friend, and you don't know who the hell I am. How would you like
Well,
that?
wasn't he something like a host in that restaurant, just trying to be a gentleman
No,
to a
he's a
guest?
truck. He was a truck driver.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was a truck driver that just so happened to be like arriving at the same time as she did to have like lunch or a coffee or something like that. And he just thought of her as like she was some babe, some dame that he could have a conversation with. And he thought he had the audacity to open her car door, or like he owned the car. when it wasn't really his car. He had no manners. He just thought that she was going to appeal to his charm. You know,
Mm,
which he had none.
which he had zero charm whatsoever. And he was just rude to begin with. Not to mention the busybody in the restaurant.
We haven't gotten to that part
wait,
yet.
what busybody?
The
What do you
waitress.
mean? I'm sorry.
The waitress.
What about her?
Well, Tammy, maybe you can explain this one.
She was, well, she's what we would call a busybody. She's yakety 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 yakking in this person's business and that person's business, and she knows about that, but she knows about that, but she can't explain this, but she can see. She talks just like I just did.
Yeah, she knows everything but doesn't really know anything.
Right. And she doesn't shut
Like
up.
like
Okay.
she's telling the girl, "Oh, it's the dangers out there," and she's like, "I'm not worried," and she automatically assumes that means that she's like in on it or something because she's not worried about it. Like it's just all these characters suck. I'm sorry.
Well, and Frank Webster just so happens to be the guy in the leather jacket that is already sitting there just minding his own business.
Yep, just mind his own business. Then he gets fucking told, "Oh, I'll give you. Oh, are you a hitchhiker? No, wait. I didn't see your car. I'm walking. I'll give you a ride. Oh, well, I have to see your ID if I want to give you a ride. I never asked for a ride." And then he pulls a gun on him. Like, what a fucking dick! I mean, I thought he was dick enough to open her door, and then he goes and fucking just butts into this guy's business and just fucking pulls a gun on him. I don't blame him for knocking him out. And then he actually went to get his ID, and fucking the guy's gonna hit him with the fucking gun. So that's when he fucking continues defending himself. Not that I like Frank's character all that much, but he was definitely in the right there.
Okay. Well, basically, what happens here is she walks in. She's waylaid with the waitress, like explaining all this stuff that she's heard over the radio about how this dude has escaped jail and now he's a dangerous criminal out on the loose, and they didn't really show a picture of him, and now that all this information is out there, and this rude like Southern boy uh, seems to take it into his own mind that if he comes across the dude, he's just gonna like gun him down, like you know, he's acting all like manly and shit. Like he's just not going to ask questions. He's gonna shoot first, ask questions later. You know.
Yeah, the typical
Yeah.
idiot fucking.
That is what he's acting like, and so he gets in his mind that if he's if this stranger is not going to take a ride from him, maybe he's the criminal, pointing the finger.
And again, again, he assumes. He just fucking first assumes the woman wants to get out of the car and wants her fucking door open. Then he just assumes this guy's a criminal because he doesn't want to get in a fucking vehicle with some fucking stranger. Like he's just.
Well, yeah, he said that he
He's
didn't
just
see
all kinds of an asshole, and
he didn't see that he had any car, and just because he wanted to walk or whatever, just assumed that he would need a ride. Well, some people just want to walk, but dude got in his way, got in his face, and I don't blame him either. I don't blame him for what he did. Although I do think it's kind of funny how he was like in this like coma, later on.
Yeah, from being knocked
Oh,
out.
yeah.
I mean, if anyone got knocked out, you don't get in a fucking coma. You didn't hit him that hard. He didn't hit him with the gun. He just hit him with the fucking fist. He just punched him out.
And honestly, I think that's kind of unrealistic because
The whole movie is unrealistic.
But in any case, he after knocking the guy out, he takes Connie out the door, and with the said gun, kidnaps her. And
And this is another thing. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead slightly, but with the stupid fucking waitress, he was there, clearly there, waiting for her. We don't know how long before her, but he was there. Then she shows up, and automatically they're together. She assumes that they're together. Doesn't assume that the girl was taken hostage or anything. Just assumes that they're together. Because she sent her away to get pineapple juice. Well, maybe the girl likes pineapple juice, okay? Obviously she does. Like, what the fuck? Like, just
Well, first,
absolutely asinine.
the waitress seemed like she thought that her and the other guy were together because they walked in together. And then she
Exactly.
tells the cops a totally different thing because they sent me in the back to get rid of me to find the pineapple juice so that they could escape.
So they could, knock him out and kill him because she thought he was dead, which I was like, dead? How could he be fucking dead? And then she like, I heard a shot. There was no fucking shot. Like, she just made up all this fucking shit just to fucking to have some kind of fucking excitement in her fucking boring ass life.
And for some reason, she reminded me of Ethel from the I Love Lucy show.
No, Ethel was fucking a sweetheart.
I know she's a sweetheart.
She was a busybody, but she was a sweetheart. This woman was just an idiot. This woman was a complete idiot.
But
I'm sorry that your opinion that is like Ethel. I'm just saying my opinion is no. She's a fucking just a moron and
she's a dingbat. That's for sure.
But dingbat wasn't likable at all.
In any case, so the two get on the road, and of course, while they are riding, I guess they attract the attention of a cop, and he starts to speed, and I guess they slow down, and I guess the whole reason why he was following them to begin with was the fact that was it a tail light out or
yeah,
the tail light was out, and then the stupid fucking cop lets him go. Like, he didn't just run away from him for like miles, right? And then he just lets him go. Yeah, that's realistic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know how those things worked back then. Maybe then it wasn't the way it is now. I don't know.
Well, by that time, the murder or said murder hasn't reached the ears of the cops. So I think this is just like kind of a country bumpkin cop who has nothing better to do except watch cars go by and play cards with the boys. So um, I feel like this is like the detriment look at what cops really didn't do. And they didn't really stop anyone one if they were having fun in a fast car. It wasn't speeding wasn't a thing to catch people for as much as it is now. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it seems like cops don't seem to do their job even in this day and age. uh, but that being said,
No, they like to harass delivery drivers.
oh, and they, I don't know. What do you think of the cops in this movie? Are they in
Complete fucking
realistic?
morons.
Are what about you, Tammy? What did you think about the cops that were in this film? Were
Well,
they shown to
one
be?
little comment that I was gonna make. Yeah, cops nowadays, what all you guys said, and they also like to drag race with girls that have fancy cars. I had the cop that was not in uniform. Well, he was not on duty. He was in his own vehicle, drag racing me in my Grand Prix. But never mind. Uh, cops, the cops then, well, at least in this particular movie, was, I mean, yeah, he was a complete moron. You chase the guy is speeding, he's obviously running away from you, and then you go, oh, your tail light is out. Okay.
That's
You
why I was
chased him
chasing
all
you.
the way down for that?
Oh, for a minute there, I thought you were I thought you were running away from me. Because it was a moron.
Right.
What was the first clue?
The fact that he stepped on the gas pedal and kept going when you had clearly had your sirens on.
Wasn't that the first thing that I would pull you over for?
Yeah, so
Where
yeah.
did they go, George? Where did they go?
But yeah, so they end up going on their way, and I guess they at first do the "I hate you,"
At
"I
first,
can't
the whole
stand
movie.
you," "I really hate you," "hate you." Well, you know what? I'm not going to do anything to you, sister. But I am going to get to Mexico as long as you be a good girl. I'll.
I like my women quiet. I like my women quiet. So be quiet.
Right. So they're back
I'm
and forth.
hungry.
Uh,
I'm still hungry.
and he's like, I'm hungry too. So they end up
Yeah.
So we're
stopping
gonna stop? No.
they end up stopping at a service station
To get gas.
to get gas. And she goes to the bathroom, and while she's in the bathroom, she tries to
Sneak out
escape,
of the window.
sneak out of the window. Meanwhile, back in the day, uh, they used to have at gas stations actual service, which means a guy in a uniform came up and serviced your vehicle and pumped your gas for you.
Hey, they
Which
had
means
that when I
they did everything.
was first started driving. I mean, they didn't really do all the other stuff for you, unless you. I mean, I guess you'd ask, but usually they did pump the gas for you.
Yeah, they pump the gas for you. They would
Full service.
yes, full service, which means to check your oil, check your fluids, check your
Tires.
air tires.
Right, you could go to full service or self service. I remember
Correct.
that.
But at this
Your
point in
dipstick.
time, full service was still in full blown a thing at every single gas station for miles around.
He's probably the only likable character in the whole fucking movie. The gas attendant.
Well, oh, and I forget to mention that the waitress called the car a jalopy.
Oh no! She called the truck driver called it a jalopy, so she called it a jalopy. It's like, well, I never
Yeah.
saw the car, but he called it a jalopy, so it's a jalopy. Like this truck driver she never fucking met is an expert, so she's gonna go with the truck driver because she found him dead, but wasn't really dead. Like it's just asinine. The whole fucking thing is just complete asinine.
And a jalopy is to me like just any old car, just any average Joe like car, like your
Old
go-to,
crappy piece of shit.
yeah, old crappy piece of shit, or your lemon, you know, which is what some people call it. You know, there are several different words that you can call a piece of shit A to B car, which is just anything that'll just turn on, get you from A to Z, and it could take a shit at any given point in
I've had cars like that.
time. That's your 10-second car, as far as I'm concerned.
What?
Your
Well, it
10
might last
car.
10 seconds.
Your
That's a whole
last
different. That's a whole different definition of 10-second car.
Well, yeah, it might actually last for 10 seconds down the road.
Yeah. But in any case, so they leave the gas station, and I think it's at this point where they end up going off road to sleep. I think to rest. And
Yeah, she sleeps in the car, and yeah, and then he comes
that's
back,
right.
and she gives him an
He
attitude, and he's like, "What's wrong? You wake up on the wrong side of the car." It's like, dude, you kidnapped her. How do you think she's supposed to act to you? Like,
well, and before they even like sleep, he binds her wrists with his belt.
yeah, 'cause she keeps trying to escape. Bad her. Like, how dare
Oh,
she escape?
because she tried to gather the attention of the cops before. That is why he did it. And then he undoes the binding that morning and allows her to like go wash her face, and then she comes back, and then the cops have this whole like conversation about um, the person who had escaped. I guess they were looking for. Um,
Oh, I
uh,
wish I got a better look at those people that I let go.
uh, one thing I didn't understand in this part of the movie, before she actually started to develop feelings for Frank, why, whenever a cop appeared, why didn't she say, "Help, I'm kidnapped"? Why did she just stay quiet?
Oh, she thought Frank was gonna shoot her.
well, yeah, he had a gun pointed at her, and he had it on him. So she didn't know what he was going to do because of the unknown. Uh, she figured it was probably better if she just behaved. you know.
Uh, Even when a cop is there, who is supposed to help her?
Well, she did try, which is why he bound her to begin with. But
Oh,
I guess then they also became Mr. and Mrs. Myers also later. Um, because he actually had the identification of a man named Bill Myers on his person. In fact, we learn that that story a little bit later too. But they, when they wake up, and I guess they overhear a conversation with the cops that have evidently taken a break under a tree. So what he does is he coasts the car around the curve, which is putting it in neutral. Which, um, honestly, if you put any car in neutral, you can coast it anywhere you want. Right, Tammy?
You're able to push it. Yeah, once it's in neutral, you can push it. You know, you can't push a car when it's in drive. Not very easily, at least.
But I thought it was kind of cool that they could coast past the cops and they not be oblivious of everything and it's like they're like doo, 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 coasting past them, and um, they're on their way again. And I guess this is where they come across a roadblock. Oh, meanwhile, there is a detective of some sort that is on their case, on the case of trying to find them. So this detective dude ends up going to the cafe, taking that particular waitress downtown, and also then speaking to the victim later, which he wakes up for only barely a few minutes, and finally says exactly the name of the car. So now they are on the lookout
Jaguar.
for a Jaguar, and it just
It
so
was
happens.
just from his coma from getting knocked out.
I thought all he kept saying was Jag, and then they finally got it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But it just so happens to be um, a Jaguar XK120, which is a racing car of the Jaguars. So, what did y'all think about this banana boat of a car?
Stupid. It was
Uh,
small. It didn't really look like a racing car. It just, I don't know. None of those
Yeah,
cars did.
yeah, not my cup of tea.
well,
Race car.
I don't really have enough knowledge on cars of that time to really be able to say anything. But
Did
if
you like
you
what it
guys
looked like?
say, mm, I don't know, wasn't thinking much about it actually.
Did
Well,
it catch your
unfortunately, it's in
attention,
your face the whole
Boris?
movie. So
It's not my cup of tea of a car either. I didn't think it was
I
small.
like Jaguars, but not that. That's just
I thought
that
it was kind of a boat of a car. I thought it was big, huge, and clunky. Ugh.
big. It's tiny. Like they barely fit in it.
It just looked like the kind of car that I don't know. It just looked like something that I would never drive.
Me neither.
Kind of car you can't even get into.
It looked like it looked like it was a brighter color, so that's why I said banana yellow because I would just think if this movie was in color, that's the color that it would be.
No, they said it was white.
I didn't think that forward. I mean, I
They said
just
it was white.
Okay,
I
they
never
Oh,
heard that. I just like I said, when he first kidnapped her, like where are they gonna fit? Like it really looked like it was big enough for one person in the car. Then suddenly they both fit into it. So okay.
Right. There was more car than there was seating room, you know?
okay, so it was a two-seater car.
Yeah. Barely.
Originally, I think it was a one-seater, and then they realized that they needed two seats. So
Okay.
Well, David, for you, it would probably be a one-seater.
Ha ha. Um, but that being said, they go up to the roadblock, and that's when see that's where it kind of blipped for me. It's an old film, so there was a conversation that when it got up to the cop at the roadblock, he basically asked them like where they were going and were they part of the group that was going ahead, because evidently there were a lot of numbered cars on their way to the race that she was going to race in, originally to begin with, and that's when he comes up with the idea that they're going to be this married couple of the Myers. And they're able to go through, and when when they get up to the registration area, that's when he pulls out this ID that he has, of like his um, name that he's going under, which is
Bill
Bill Myers.
Myers.
So basically, what the registration dude says is that okay, you have the right to check out the track and have a practice run, and
Well,
then
first he tells the girl that she can't drive. She's the one
yeah,
that was going to register first because she wants to do the race. And they say, "Oh, we decided last night that women can't drive this track."
because it's too dangerous.
Yeah, which really pissed her off. And then he said he'll drive it. And
which kind of shows you that that this racing world is kind of like a man's world at this moment. Like it kind of shows
chauvinist of pigs. No pun intended.
Because women, at this point in time, were thought to be like homemakers and stay at home.
Yeah, every single racer knows her there, and every single racer knows how good she is. Yet, she's not good enough.
Nope, because it's a man's world, baby. Yeah. The powers that be have pretty much made it so that no women can drive in the race. So, Frank, or otherwise known as Bill Myers, ends up having to become the driver, and honestly, she gives him a few tips while they're on that first practice run.
A few tips. He didn't know what the hell to do with that car, the power of that car. He had no idea. He would have wrecked them like instantly.
Well, she definitely gave him a lot of tips, which made it so that when they actually did the
qualifier,
the qualifying run, even though there was a truck in the way, and in between all of this is when he actually tells her, about his trouble. I think how he got.
He doesn't tell her until she takes him to that area that she's never seen anybody, and they had lunch and had a little picnic.
Okay, but she does make a comment to the fact that, oh, I guess you have trouble with trucks. Hey, don't you?
Yeah.
Which I do believe that there was a radio announcement that says something about the truck incident that happened. Evidently, there was a rollover truck that evidently died, and he's wanted for murder because of it. And he ends up qualifying for the race ultimately in the end. What did y'all think about the practice run and the qualification run, to be honest?
Not much.
Yeah, that was one of those parts where I was kind of struggling to figure out what was going on since I wasn't able to distinguish much of the dialogues. So it wasn't even fully clear to me how exactly that race tied into the whole plot of the movie.
Well, that race was something that she was on her way to, anyways, to race in, and evidently it's a race to Mexico. In fact, you part of the end of the race was to race over the border of Mexico, um, which is part of the whole reason why he wants to Frank wants to get away from the situation, and he thinks that this race will help him escape, you know help him get to where he can just get away from it all, and that's his goal and his intentions. It's just it doesn't exactly happen the way that he thought, and you know I guess in a way, she kind of grounds him and helps convince him to eventually, like, give himself up, even though in a way she kind of forced his hand. But
Mm,
because he ultimately does, they ultimately do get along, and there are moments
For a
of
second.
romance, like the fact that he actually does kiss her, and evidently that shuts her up. In the beginning, he actually planted a whole kiss on her, and it seemed like it always seems like in some of these earlier movies, it's like the women just succumb to a man kissing them. They just, oh, he just kissed me. You know,
And then
so
he kissed me.
what did you?
I'm gonna kick him in his balls.
Is that what you would have done if he would have kissed you?
A forceful kiss like he did on her the very first time. Oh yeah, he would have been hurting.
So you're telling me that you wouldn't uh react to it, like if he kissed you, or I mean, what happens if you were attracted to them lips?
What?
Obviously, she
What?
was.
Don't think she was attracted at the time of the very first kiss, and he forcefully planted it on her.
And
But she
yet,
kissed him back.
yeah, she
Not the
did.
first kiss.
mm,
Yes, the first kiss she did. She was kissing back.
I think I think maybe, if I remember correctly, she was maybe giving resistance for a few seconds, but then she wasn't
And
giving
then afterwards,
resistance
she acted like she
anymore.
didn't want the kiss and stuff. And typical woman.
Ha ha ha.
But and then there is a moment where she actually asked him for like an egg sandwich, and she told him that you still owe me an egg sandwich, and that's when he pulled out an sandwich that he had actually gotten at the gas station, um, and a coffee mug thing that she was like, "Oh, you remembered," you know. Um,
Because
so
evidently everybody takes out sandwiches in this movie.
well,
And
yeah,
then
and they
they
were
had their
acting
little
like,
picnic, and he drowned all his sorrows.
yep, and that's when we kind of learned that he had gotten himself a truck at one point in time. It wasn't anything big, but it was a truck, and he wanted to he wanted to start his own company, but he ended up getting involved with a trucking company, and the trucker that owned the company um, basically basically wanted to own him. Basically.
Yeah, he tried all kinds of things, and he couldn't like do anything legally. So then he came up with that they were gonna kill him, and instead of killing him, they ended up framing him for murder. Since he survived, and like he said, the other truck driver didn't even seem to care that his friend died. Like he just immediately went into Plan B of, blame him for the murder.
Yep. And that's also, I think somewhere in here is where he actually takes her to like this old abandoned like cabin looking thing, and
Well, before that goody two shoes with that car that won't
Yeah, you never
move.
mentioned the douchebag.
oh yeah, the I would call him a fanboy.
I'd call him a
The-
douche.
the douchebag fanboy. He was a goody two shoes dude who um, thought he was like all that, and he evidently had been familiar with Connie before, and I guess she didn't mind because you know probably before she was like a single lady, so she didn't mind the attention. But he
Plus, it was
definitely
free food.
he he definitely noticed that Myers was all over her like glue. And
But he automatically assumed when he saw him that this guy wasn't with her. Like he just automatically assumed it. Like right at the beginning, he assumed they weren't together.
Yep.
Like I'd see them together and think that they were together. But no, he automatically assumed they weren't together. Like
He even says that Frank doesn't look like a.
that is the best line in the fucking movie. I'll tell you right there. He doesn't look like the kind of guy you're with, and she's like, you don't look like the type of guy I'm with either. And that was the best line in the movie.
And then he's like, "You don't look like a race car driver." Well, what do I look like? You look like a truck driver.
Yeah, okay. You look like a truck driver to me, but
so there was definitely some competition going on there, at least a little bit, because now he's driving her vehicle, and now he seems to be in her life, and now he seems to want to like one up him. He even says, like when they're about to race. I think I'm going to show you who's king of the road out here.
no, he
Uh,
says he says I don't think you know how to drive, and I think I'm gonna prove it.
yep. Which is basically in my mind saying I think I know best.
Oh yeah, he was a douchebag.
But meanwhile, Frank, otherwise known as Bill Myers, has taken her, Connie, to. Oh, and I do have to mention the fact that he almost like drags her along. Like she's tired. They're walking, and then he takes her to this abandoned place, and he locks her in it the following morning because
After they
have
after
a
they
night
have
where
sex,
they actually get laid.
yeah, after they have sex, he locks her in,
Right?
and then she has the brilliant idea to burn herself to death.
I thought that was very smart, didn't you? I
Yeah,
was like, what if
yeah,
nobody came along?
what what exactly was she trying to achieve with that?
She was trying to escape, but she basically, if nobody else came along,
she would have been
she
dead.
she lit that place on fire.
She would have died from the smoke. She would have died from the smoke.
Yeah, I don't know what
Inhalation.
she was thinking with that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
nobody
for
said
all
she was that
intents and
smart. She
purposes-
was blonde.
For all intents and purposes, they were out in the boonies. Nobody knew where that place was. So how the fuck did some guy just happen to come along? That's just
And it just happened to stop because the place was had smoke coming out. There's no way he could have heard her from the road.
no,
Yeah.
definitely not. But she ends up hitching a ride with dude, and
Then she
going
goes to
to
a phone and immediately calls the cops.
Yep, and tells them that Frank is the guy in car 55, and make sure you stop him at the border.
Yeah. But he's innocent. She did
Yeah.
say that.
She did say that that he's innocent, but just saying one is innocent and having to prove one's innocent is two totally different stories. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
just her telling that them that he is innocent is not going to exactly put things into perspective. But Frank is in fact racing douchebag, and he's actually doing a fairly good job of racing against him. What do y'all think about that final race?
He kicked his ass.
Yeah, pretty much. And didn't he overturn overturn his car in the end? In
Yeah,
fact, he
and then he went back instead of just leaving. He went back to save the asshole.
And that's when she really knew that he did not do, he was not a killer.
yeah, basically. And and she even said to him, "Hey, you could have run." He's like, "Yeah, I know, but
No, I'm not running anymore. You're right.
I kind of got used to you." And he did say that he loved her in that abandoned area.
Yeah, the abandoned thing before they slept together.
Before they like woke up or whatever. I don't know if you heard that, but
I heard it.
I love you.
I rolled my eyes.
But in any case,
I love you.
Boris,
I'm get in your
Boris
pants.
was trying to say something.
yeah, Boris, go ahead.
I think I was just going to agree with something you guys said. I don't remember exactly anymore.
Well, we did.
It was about the last race.
Oh, it
Oh,
was about the
about
last
the
race.
race. Oh, yeah, I was going to say that was probably the most intense race in the movie.
Well, it's the only race in the movie.
Where
That's no
did
movie.
Dave go? Right?
I went to race for a soda.
Oh.
Since we were talking about racing. But in any case, so they have this race, and he ends up at the end here stating that he was going to face the music, basically. And what did he end the line with? What did he end the movie with? I'm trying to remember.
Not sure.
Well, I know that she was all happy that he was going to face the music, and and stuff, and and I guess it kind of made you think that everything was going to be all right in the end, and then it ended.
It didn't make me think that. It made me think that they fucking ended the movie and never told you what the fuck happened. That's what made me think. Like, first of all, they make you sit through this whole fucking movie, this whole fucking banter, and then they fucking don't even give you an ending. They say, "Oh, well, guess what happened?" Fucking lame.
What did you think, Tammy?
Uh,
Did you think the same?
Well, they made you think that he turns himself in and they live happily ever after. That's what they make you think. That's about it.
That didn't make me think that
yeah.
though. You know, it made me think that he turned himself in and he's probably fucking screwed.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, that's what could have happened too. I mean, for all we
But they
know.
don't tell you. They just leave it fucking open, like he's just fucking some cool dude, just fucking retarded.
So,
Are you gonna go into production now?
yep.
Suck.
I figured this was going to be a short and sweet discussion too, because it's really a straightforward film.
It's not a short and sweet, unfortunately. Short, but not sweet.
It is a short film.
The production was shitty. The when you saw the cars moving, that was fine. When you saw the up closeness and the cars bouncing around, like it was just so fucking asinine. Like
Well,
you could tell this was such a low budget film.
you
I
could
mean,
tell that
even in that time, they could have they did a better job of fucking showing people in a car. I mean, yeah, it was just horrible. It didn't look like they were in the car at all. It was just and the up close was way too close. It was just horribly done.
I will say that this was Roger Corman's second produced film. I'm not sure if I said that. I think I did, but it was his second production. To
So he
me,
didn't learn from his first, I guess.
me being a producer myself, I know that not all productions are going to turn out the way that you want them to. And maybe it didn't turn out the way that he wanted
I
it.
would hope so, because Dick turned out horrible.
The reception of this film at the time was critical at the time. Variety said, high-priced sports car bombs furnish most of the action, saying racing footage is interesting, but becomes repetitive and helps to string out the running time to an unnecessary 73 minutes, an unhandy length of supporting playdates.
I'd agree with that.
Film critic Leonard Maltin dismissed The Fast and Furious as labored by uninspired romantic interludes and cop on the chase sequences. And CEA Film called the film a modest second feature.
I don't agree with that one.
The box office said the film was popular but struggled to recoup money for ARC. Uh, uh, because it often played on the bottom of double bills, which meant it received a flat fee instead of a percentage. Alex Gordon confirmed that, saying it soon became obvious the single B pictures like these first three, The Fast and Furious, Five Guns West, Apache Woman, would not work out for the new company. They played the bottom of twin bill programming at $25 per booking. AIP would have to own both pictures to obtain percentage bookings. This would prompt AIP to make movies as a package for release as a double bill. However, by August of 1955, Corman claimed he had repaid his 12 main investors in the film. So, Um, as far as its legacy, the film was successful enough to uh, Gamer Corman a 3-movie deal. Decades later, producer Neil H. Moritz and Universal Pictures licensed the title for 2001's The Fast and the Furious. Moritz had difficulty choosing between proposed titles Racer X, Red Line, Race Wars, and Street Wars, and was inspired by a documentary on American International Pictures that included Corman's film. Moritz was able to trade the use of some stock footage to Corman for use of the title. So, what did you think about the production of the film, Tammy?
Well, it was it was all right, I guess. I mean, there wasn't any. Obviously, there wasn't anything fancy in it.
Not even the car?
No, the cars.
Not any of the cars.
Yeah, except for the little bit of squilly tires that they don't squeal on dirt and gravel. Were pretty. It was pretty true to the cars.
People
You
don't
know,
bounce up and down like they're in a fucking boat when they're riding in a car either. But
They did back
those
then.
cars didn't have the kind of shocks though that we have nowadays. So you might have been
yeah, but they look like they were in a fucking boat.
They were. They were. That's the thing.
No,
Cars
they were
made
not.
like boats.
They were not. They were in a fucking tiny ass fucking little Jaguar.
with no
Evidently, you've
suspension.
never.
With no
Evidently, you've
suspension.
never ridden in a true Lincoln Town car.
I've ridden in I drove a town car.
And those were boats.
Never said they weren't. Talk about a tiny Jaguar.
But in any case, what about you, Boris? What did you think about the production of this film for its time? Was
well,
Don't put this for this time crap, because I've seen movies for that time, and there's plenty of good movies out there. It was just like you had said. It had low production, and you can tell because it was horrible.
well, you can maybe tell that if you have seen enough movies of that time, so I will give you benefit of the doubt there. Now, I myself couldn't really tell whether it could have been better or not. I definitely did notice some scenes where they were obviously using green screen, like in the drive scenes and stuff.
in the
It,
drive scenes what they were using is a car on a stage with a screen and back of moving picture. And what they would do is they would move the car to and fro on a mechanical thing, and oftentimes the car was only like a piece of the car, so that they could like remote control the bastard. So that is how they often did those screens, and oftentimes they worked in other films as well. You even saw some of that in The Quiet Man.
Never saw that movie.
oh,
But if I
oh
saw
yeah.
that in that movie, then I wouldn't want to watch that movie either.
When he was driving the little one horse power buggy in the background, you saw a screen in the back. So I mean, they did use a lot of the countryside side to show that they were going somewhere, but they did use a studio for some of those shots. And I do think that they did a lot of that in here, like especially for some of the racing scenes. Um, there is something that I did want to say. There is someone who actually was a second driver. Okay. So the film was based on a story by Roger Corman, who had recently moved into producing Monster from the Ocean Floor. His production company was Palo Alto Productions at the time. He financed the movie with $60,000 he received from Robert Lippert for Monster. Corman said at the time that John Ireland only appeared in the film on a condition he could direct it. John did a fine job directing on a 9-day shooting schedule of a budget of $50,000. He would later say that Dorothy Malone had left her agent and, having no work, accepted the part for next to nothing. Then Corman said he set up a little of the racing car business because he was interested in that, and he did some of the second unit stuff, but he didn't direct as much at the time. And that deal that Corman set up included having the local Jaguar dealer donate his cars, as well as having scenes take place at the Monterey racetrack, which I guess that's where the racetrack was. Most of the exteriors were shot around Malibu and Point Dume, California. And Corman also subbed as a driver in the second of the Jaguar XK120 race cars. So I guess Corman was one of the drivers. So after having to operate as a second unit cinematographer and director, Corman realized he wanted to direct himself. It was after that film that I decided to become a director. So he'd produced 2 films and then became a director himself after this film. So maybe this is the film that said, okay, I want to do things differently. But some films, from a producer standpoint, you just want to see how it's like done, and have more hands-on experience with it, and see how things are done in a way maybe to do it differently, like in other productions. So, alrighty. So, did anyone have anything to say about the music?
It was annoying.
Did anyone notice the music?
I did. It was annoying.
Well, okay, I didn't.
They tried to make it dramatic, but it was just kind of loud and just it made you notice it, but it was just kind of, like I said, loud and just really didn't fit the scene that much. They try to make it sound like the scene was more intense than it was. That's my opinion on the music.
I agree. It was loud because I even had to turn the TV down more than normal because the music would blare.
Yep.
Well, I wasn't thinking of it that way, but yeah, I didn't pay much attention to it either. Like I said, most of the time, since the sound quality wasn't very good, I was mainly focused on trying to distinguish what the characters were saying, which I kind of struggled with. But like I said, that's probably because English is not my first language, and I generally tend to have this problem, especially when the sound quality isn't very clear, which in this one, or at least in the version I found on YouTube, it wasn't, the sound quality wasn't very good. So, yeah.
Well,
What?
I
English
will
isn't
say
your first language? What is this?
I will say this. the guy who did the music never did anything again after this, and only had one.
Surprise!
Ouch!
I,
Ouch!
I guess
No
his name was
surprise there.
his name was Alexander Gerens, and I guess Gerens was known as Chapes Gerenstein Alexander. He was born August 23rd, 1901, in Odessa, Russia. In the 30s, he lives in Paris, Rue Remy, in the 18th arrondissement, and music publisher. He plays several instruments, including piano and wind instruments. He was deported to Auschwitz with his wife, Shenla Gernstein Entin. And I guess the movie he did was Korea Patrol in 1951, or at least the music for it. And I guess his wife was assassinated upon his arrival at Birkenau. Alexander survived after
They
having
missed.
been trumpet in the orchestra of Auschwitz. Their children, Maurice, 13 years, who had special gifts as a pianist and composer, and Lillian, age 11, were placed in a children's home in Izu in the department of Ain, France, where they were arrested on April 6th, 1944, and then deported to Birkenau, where 9 days later they were gassed upon their arrival. Alexander Gerenstein survived and emigrated to the United States, where he became a composer and was also conductor under the name Alexander Gerens. So I guess his family was assassinated and gassed, which is kind of sad, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
he never did anything else after this, and one does not wonder why. But in any case, let us go on to favorites and favorite scenes. Kroll, if you could choose a favorite scene.
Yeah, I already said when the chick said to when he said, I don't see you with that kind of type of guy, and she turns and says, I don't see me with you either, your type either, or something. And yeah, that was a funny scene. I laughed, and that was the best and only good scene in the movie.
Okay. What about you, Boris? Is there a favorite scene from this film that you could take?
Okay. Not sure, maybe, like I said, it's difficult for me to choose one because I had this issue with distinguishing dialogues. But yeah, there was some interesting interaction between Connie and Frank at moments. Well, the ending wasn't bad, I guess, at least when I read on Wikipedia what it was actually supposed to mean. Uh, and also, I was kind of amused at the Spudao at the very beginning when the movie logo appeared.
Okay. What about you, Tammy? Is there a favorite scene that you could take from this film or scenes?
I guess the part that I like the best is when she was actually telling him how to race the car. So I
Okay.
I found that quite amusing because he had not a clue how to race that car, and if she wouldn't have been telling him what to do, he probably would have killed them both.
I think I liked the back and forth of them two for some reason. At least while they were on the road, I guess I get a kick out of the cops and how bumbling they are. Like the dude that was like chasing them, and he only let them get away, let them go on further. When I thought that like he would have like given them a speeding ticket of some sort. Uh, and I don't know, just the unrealistic reality of the dude getting unconscious from just being hit over the head. That is memorable. To be honest, I won't forget it because
Forget
that's
what?
just stupid. You don't get hit over the head and unconscious
I've already forgotten it.
just from that. You know, but I would have to say I like bits and pieces of this movie, but it is a movie from a budgeting age, and I could tell that there was it's it and films have definitely gotten better over time due to
Films are
films
better in that time.
like I'm not so sure a car film in that year. Uh, I haven't seen too many car films from that particular year to state that, but I do think
yeah.
that it is and was a rough film. So, that being said, um, I think we are at an end on this film discussion. So, hopefully, y'all have enjoyed our discussion on this film, no matter how bad or good the film is. Uh, I just wanted to talk about it because I knew it was the first film with this title. Um, and I knew that Roger Corman was behind it. But one interesting thing that I will take from this film is that he is actually listed as a stunt driver.
oh.
So that was, I guess, that was something new that I did not know of him, that he actually did some stunts, in the very beginning of his producing career. But
Yeah.
in any case, hopefully, uh, did did anyone else have anything else to say about the film?
Mm,
Alrighty.
not
So like,
sure.
share, and subscribe, and hopefully you'll be back with us next week as we continue our film journey, uh, and we're going to be discussing a lovable film and car called The Love Bug. So stay tuned. We will definitely have an interesting discussion for you next week, same time, same channel. And say good night, everyone.
Good
Good night,
night,
everyone.
everyone.
Night, Jim Bob.